Yes! As of March 5th, 2019, Season 6 of Destiny 2 has officially kicked off, and with it comes along a reprised version of a Year 1 hand cannon known as the Service Revolver. If you played Destiny 2 during the Warmind era, you might remember this weapon as the Nightfall Rank 40 reward from Commander Zavala, but many players, myself included, couldn't justify doing something so tedious only to receive a weapon that would probably never be used in PvE, which is odd because you had to do a lot of strikes to obtain this weapon. Service Revolver's potential was watered down by the static roll perk system that plagued the entire first year of Destiny 2, but in Year 2 has been given a much-deserved second chance. But is it a good weapon? Can it compete? Let's find out. Service Revolver is a kinetic hand cannon belonging to the 180 RPM archetype, similarly to the infamous Luna's Howl, not forgotten in trust, and at this very moment, Commander Zavala is selling a fixed roll version of the Service Revolver with accurized rounds, outlaw, Zen moment, and a stability masterwork. And to obtain this particular roll, you will have to complete the triumph known as Season 6 completions. This triumph states that you will have to complete 40 strikes over the course of Season 6, and if you're a masochist like me, you can complete this in a single day. Fortunately, all 40 strikes don't have to be completed on one character, so you're free to switching up your characters to complete the Season 6 completions triumph if need be. By turning in Vanguard tokens to Commander Zavala, you can get differently rolled versions of this weapon as well, so if you don't see the significance of power grinding 40 strikes just to get a static roll version of this weapon, you don't necessarily have to. As of presently, Service Revolver is the only legendary 180 RPM hand cannon capable of random rolls. West of Sunfall 7 of the Mercury Prophecy weapons is the only other legendary kinetic 180 RPM hand cannon in the game, but has not yet been brought forth into Year 2 and thus is not capable of random rolls. But luckily, the Service Revolver has some amazing potential perks in both trait slots. In the first trait slot, you have the possibility of rolling moving target, kill clip, rapid hit, triple tap, and rangefinder. Whereas in the second trait slot, you have the potentiality of rolling kill clip, rampage, Zen moment, opening shot, and snapshot sights. I stated earlier that the Year 1 version of the Service Revolver wouldn't be something anyone would use in PvE, and that still applies for the Year 2 version to some extent. Even a well-rolled Service Revolver pales in comparison to hand cannons of different archetypes such as the Ace of Spades and Midnight Coup, which have a much better damage output and kills significantly faster. I'm not saying that the Service Revolver is impossible to use or useless in PvE, but I am saying that you will have to work a bit harder to kill things. Now, PvP is where the Service Revolver and other members of its respective archetypes shine, but in the several hours that I used this weapon in PvP, I noticed some very discernible shortcomings with Zavala's roll. And I go ahead and say that if you aren't impressed with this roll, it's very much possible that you can have a significantly better time with this weapon if you can get a more optimal roll. What bugs me the most about this particular roll is that it has a stability masterwork and Zen moment, and I've always felt that even though stability isn't necessarily a useless stat on hand cannons, it's still nowhere as useful as range, and when it comes to hand cannons, Zen moment is no competition to the likes of kill clip, rampage, or even something like opening shot, which are all perks that the Service Revolver is capable of rolling. Hand cannons have a very steep damage drop off and are punished for engaging past mid-range. In most if not all of my gunfights, I was going against some of the more popular weapons like Bygones, Blast Furnace, and the occasional Luna's Howl not forgotten, and it was an absolute struggle. I really had to pick my battles, and when I did, I had to ensure myself that I was within appropriate range to challenge to ensure myself that I stand a chance. The highest range stat that Zavala's roll can achieve is 54, and that's only possible if you select Crossfire HCS and accurized rounds. Since Bungie decided to throw outlaw and kill clip on almost every weapon in the game, we've been given a misconception that this is the combination of perks that turns every weapon into a god roll. And although that may be somewhat true, that doesn't mean that you need outlaw and kill clip for your weapon to be optimal. The Service Revolver is no exception to this rule. As I stated before, you want as much range as you can possibly get on this weapon to brandish its true potential. And in my opinion, the best roll that you can get for the Service Revolver is accurized rounds, rangefinder, and either open a shot, rampage, or kill clip in the second trait slot, and a range masterwork. Rampage and kill clip are amazing perks on any and every weapon. A rangefinder is an excellent choice since it gives your weapon more zoom and less damage fall off, while extra range is one of the benefits of opening shot. As for the sights, it all depends on what works for you. For the exception of Sure Shot HCS, none of the sights on the Service Revolver were given an amazingly substantial boost to its stats, which is a huge shortcoming that sight perk based weapons have that barrel perk based weapons like the Trust don't seem to have, and if they do, it isn't as apparent. However, if you do manage to roll a Service Revolver with Sure Shot HCS combined with what I refer to as the best last roll for this weapon, you'll be mapping enemy guardians in the crucible. Short shot HCS adds 10 points to the range stat, but it also cuts your stability and handling by 10 points as well, but I can confidently confirm that it's worth it. After a full day of using Zavala's roll, I tried my luck with getting a better roll Service Revolver by turning in Vanguard tokens to Zavala. It took me a couple thousand Vanguard tokens, but I eventually got my hands on a Service Revolver with True Sight ACS, accurized rounds, rangefinder, and kill clip. But unfortunately, this one has the stability masterwork, just like almost every hand cannon that ever drops from me, since Destiny 2 never wants to give me range. I ran multiple PvP matches with this amazing roll, and noticed that there was a day and night difference between this rangefinder kill clip roll versus Zavala's Outlaws in moment roll. And that statement right there conjures what will soon be the age-old question: is it better than Luna's Howl? And my honest answer is yes and no. Service Revolver is better than Luna's Howl because it's capable of random rolls, whereas Luna's Howl is not. And if you're lucky, it's possible to drop a Service Revolver with about 20-something more points of range than Luna. Also, if your Service Revolver has kill clip or rampage, 3-tapping enemy guardians becomes a lot more consistent and will feel like a poor man's magnificent Howl. On the other hand, Luna's Howl being a pinnacle weapon is powerful from Jump Street, and being a curated roll, you don't have to worry about grinding to get a better version of it, which is exactly what you'd be doing if you have a terribly rolled Service Revolver. So in that aspect, it's safe to say that Luna's Howl is better than Service Revolver. But once again, the main benefit of Service Revolver is that it's a kinetic weapon, which makes it godsend at this day and age in Destiny 2. The other Year 2 hand cannons and the 180 RPM archetype are in the energy slot, which means that if you use Trust, Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, you can't use some of your favorite special weapons. This is even more apparent for fusion rifles since they don't exist in the kinetic slot. But that does it for this one, everybody. I hope that this guide was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, drop me a like and subscribe to the channel for more elite gaming content. But with that being stated, 1LHD is over and out. Y'all take it easy.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.